Yeah, give me one
Hang
second.
on.
It says live now. Let's see here. And I see the GSRC graphic.
The lights are off and away they go.
Extremely loose. He's managed to hold on and they get
He
very
missed
close.
the complete. That is crazy stuff.
Side Freitas is on the grass on the infield floor. He slides through. He tags Richard Eck.
Hello and welcome, folks, to round number 12 of season 1 of the iSuperSpeedway series. Tonight we're back at Talladega Superspeedway in Alabama, USA. I am Richard Losper, and with me in the booth tonight is Brian Corwin and Sean Ambrose. Our director is Kevin Brown, and we mentioned that the camera sets are provided by the talented Dougie Beard. Well, Sean, this track, none of us are a stranger to this track. Tell us a little bit about it.
Well, it is nestled right in the middle of the very beautiful Talladega Mountains in Talladega, Alabama. The track is 2.66 miles long with 33 degrees of high-speed banking. It's the fastest venue for auto racing anywhere in the world. And tonight we're going to run 47 laps with the league fixed setups. And I predict we'll have at least one pit stop if they stay under green. And I'm going to imagine there might be more than one caution, maybe. We'll see how these guys stay in line and draft with each other. But it proves to be a very fast race. We've got some pretty smooth runners in here.
Yeah, well, Talladega always coughs up a surprise or two. I did watch an earlier race, Sean, and the guys were driving pretty clean until the last lap. Bearing in mind these guys do have heat races to qualify the drivers. They have a dash for cash, and then they've got the main event, which is the one that we broadcast, of course. And they are pretty good at racing these iSuperSpeedway tracks. So I'm looking forward to a good race. We'll talk a little bit about how things work out and how they allocate points a bit later on. But right now, Brian, the championship looking pretty good with Frank Buccialia sitting right up top there.
Yep, right now Frank Buccialia, the third, has 357 points, and he's leading the points chase, so to speak, throughout the season. So right now he's looking very good, and hopefully today he can just cap it off with another win, because right now, with only one win, he would like to add probably another one before the end of the season. Right now in second place, we got Brandon Shabirko. Rod Flagg, the now league organizer, he's in third place. Greg Hook's in fourth. Rowdy Warburg trailing by 35 points. He's in fifth. Sixth place, we have Joshua Hanner. He had a great race last week. He's trailing by 37. Dana Osborne is trailing by 52. He's in seventh place. Eighth place, we have Jared Haggerty. In ninth place, we have Shane McEachin. And 10th place, we have Donnie Gerentano. Now, these guys are all very close in the points chase, and it's like this the whole way down the ladder. We see Mark Brown, Tanner Mann, Raymond Ridnor II, Raymond Evans, all within another additional 20 points from the top 10. So right now, we're just seeing how competitive everything is here, Richard, in the standings. Hopefully next season we can see a lot more of this close point chase action.
Yeah, the thing is, this is the last race of season number 1. So after tonight, it's all over. The champion will be declared. But just looking at the standings here in the championship and looking at how they allocate points, So Frank Buchalia is 12 points ahead of Brandon Chaburko. And what that means is that he's in a very, very good position because they allocate points pretty much the same as the real life racing does. So that's 43 points to first place, 42 points to second, and so on. And the championship points are only awarded for this particular event. So one would imagine that if he can stay up near the top, possibly virtually in the top 5, maybe even the top 10, he still has every chance of winning this game.
Yeah, and we also got to look at a few other things as we were talking about with the championship. The leader gets 43 points, second place gets 42, and so forth and so on down the ladder. Now, the championship points are only awarded to the ABN race, like you said, that's the one we broadcast. So, Daytona and Talladega and the 8 cars, everyone's very familiar. That's why we see the great racing that we do. Now, one bonus point is awarded to any driver who has led at least one lap in the ABN race. Another bonus point is awarded to the driver who leads the most laps in the ABN race. And the championship driver will be obviously the one who accumulates the most points over 12 races. The interesting thing with all of this, though, Richard, is we got 3 drop weeks, so it's basically a best of 9 in the points chase. So it gives these drivers a lot of leeway and a chance to redeem themselves if they have a bad race or two due to accidents out of their control, or maybe their strategy went things of that nature. So what we're really looking at is a 12-race season that has 9 very close, intense races that really are the significant difference over the course of the season.
Yeah, and the other thing that we should mention as well is that they do allocate penalty points for various infringements. So that takes its toll as well. So really, we can't say for sure what will happen tonight and who will walk away tonight with the championship in the bag. A whole bunch of guys obviously have a very good chance of still taking this championship. I would suggest that the top 5 certainly are in it, maybe the top 6, and then it kind of drops off 7 with Dana Osborne being 52 points back. One would imagine he is more points back than there is actually points allocated for the race. So he doesn't have a chance even with bonus and or penalty points handed out to the others. So it's going to be very interesting to see how these guys decide on how they're going to tackle this race. Obviously, the guys up in front, Sean, one would imagine strategy-wise, they would want to just stay out of trouble to maintain their positions up front there.
Yeah, Richard, and the best way to stay out of trouble is to stay up front. You start sliding back and having to work with some of the guys a little deeper in the field, and you run the risk of getting caught up in what we call the big one. And you don't want to be in the big one, because if you're in the big one, then you're out of this one. So, yeah, stay up front, stay in the clean air, and run fast.
Good advice for anybody on these super speedways where they're doing upwards of 200 miles an hour. So, you know, particularly with the draft. But Brian, there are some stories that we can take from the previous races, bearing in mind we haven't broadcast all the races, only the last 3 or so. But Frank Buchalia, who is actually leading the championship right now, he only won for the first time last week.
Yeah, and he did put up a great effort. As we saw, he was just a little bit slower than, I believe it was the number 3 car all through the race, but you know, he got a lucky break when that yellow flag came out for the last time, and you know, sometimes it's all it takes. You know, sometimes second best is all you really need to be when you're racing at a super speedway. Now, right now he is leading the championship points and he has clinched, but Brandon Chaburko and Rod Flagg are both on the podium. Brandon Chaburko, I believe, is an oval racing pro driver here at iRacing.com, and Rod Flagg's a very talented driver himself, and he's one of the league organizers. So it's going to be very interesting to see if either one of them can actually come through with a win today. Now, I do think Frank's put up a pretty good case that maybe he's the guy that's going to end with the most momentum, but right now, I'm liking all 3 drivers. They've all had wonderful seasons. We've seen a lot of action from them in the last couple races we broadcasted. I would say Brandon, Rod, and Frank are all good candidates to win this race today.
Yeah, and you would not be wrong. Mind you, if you're looking at the practice times and taking what I have seen in a previous race this evening, Donny Garantano is doing very well, as is Rodney Wofford. Now, Donny is down in 10th place in the championship, and Rodney is in 5th place. Now, these guys are showing as being very fast up near the top in practice. That's not to say they will. I'm not sure how they work out the gridding positions, but we'll have the grid for you in a little while. They've got about 4 minutes of warm-up time remaining, and we see a few more cars getting out there now, just to get the feel of the track once again. But we still have 4 minutes to go before the race starts. There is no qualifying. I think that's right, Brian. No qualifying. That's all been done from the previous races.
Yep, they have qualified due to the other races, so we're just waiting for the grid to stack up and go out racing. Just a quick reminder to our viewers, though, if you want to hit us up on Twitter or any social media, we can go look at us at GSR channel on Twitter and Facebook.com/Global Sim Racing Channel. Ask us questions, and we'd be happy to answer any of those if we can. I'm looking forward to this race. How about you?
Yeah. I have to confess, I'm a lover of super speedway racing. It's where I started racing when I came into the oval scene. I started with the trucks, doing oval races in a league, and I progressed to doing about 200 official races. So I love super speedways. There's no question about it, and I get excited when I see these really fast cars taken to the track. I can only imagine what it must be like in real life, to be honest.
Yeah, and I totally agree with you, Richard. I've always wondered that myself, and I've had over 500 official oval starts. I haven't had too much luck at Talladega, unfortunately, but it is very interesting, the mindset and the strategies that are involved with bum drafting and hopefully not, screwing somebody up earlier in the race, because you never know when that helping hand's going to be there for you later on, and it's just interesting how things like that can make a factor in your chances of winning. So, yeah, I mean, it's going to be an interesting race once again. We've covered 3 races, I believe, so far, and all of them have never failed to deliver. So I'm really excited about this one.
Yeah, without a doubt. Well, look, we've got a little over 2 minutes to race time, and they've got a very long pace lap, so we have plenty of time up our sleeves. Why don't we take a short break for a minute and a half or so, and come back to the viewers with the action when they go live racing. Welcome back, folks, to the round number 12 iSuperSpeedway series. We are getting ready for a start. Momentarily, we should see the pace car come out. We do have a grid now, Brian, so we might start and tell the folks at home exactly where everyone is on the grid.
Sure, Richard. Right now, it looks like in the first place we have Johnny Garantano. He's looking very good today. Rodney Warford's in second place. In third, we have Jared Haggerty. Fourth, we had Rod Flagg. And fifth, we have Jerry Schenk. In sixth, we have Brandon Chabirko. In seventh, we have Yossi Ramirez. In eighth, we have Matt Batempi. Ninth, we have Don Hartman. 10th, we have Frank Bachulia III. And then we'll go down the rest of the list here, Richard.
Okay, and 11th is Josh Ball. In 12th place, Josh Hanna. 13th place, pardon me, I've got a frog in my throat. Carry on, Sean.
Yes, picking up in 13th, the number 8 of Dana Osborne. In 14th, the number 17 of Tanner Mann. In 15th, Shane McEachin. Watch out for him, he's a fast one. In the number 28. In 16th, the number 82 of Dan Harrington. In 17th place, the number 4 of Tommy Hall. In 18th, the number 88 of Tony Fain. And rounding out the field in 19th place, the number 98 of Ray Hooks.
Well, apologies for that. I had a double frog in my throat right there. But the interesting part to me is that Frank Bachalia is in 10th place. Not where you want to be if you want to win a championship. And the second place championship runner-up, I should say, in the championship at this point, Brandon Chabirko, Brian, is in 6th place, so we're going to keep an eye on these guys throughout the race.
Yeah, and like we were talking about last week at, I believe it was Daytona, and we were kind of talking about team favors and working with each other to get to the front of the pack. Right now, just because they're so far back from where we've seen them, it doesn't necessarily mean they'll be there very long, or if that's going to be their fate. So I think it's going to be very important to just that everyone stays nice and clean as we come through here and start this race.
Well, you know, in previous the races that I've watched, these guys are not afraid to go 3 wide. So I think we're going to see plenty of action as we see the pace car coming up to duck into the pits very, very soon. Brian, this is your cue, my friend.
All right, well, just remember, folks, that the Talladega start-finish line is a little bit after the start-finish line, or excuse me, the tri-oval exit, but that doesn't mean they're not going to wait to accelerate. So right now we're waiting for the number 2, Johnny Garantano, as we get it started. Everyone's staying nice, single file, and it's nice and bunched up and looking clean. Right now as the number 2 takes off, now everyone's going nice and wide here. We have 7, Rodney Wolford on the outside, being followed up by Rod Flagg and Brandon Chabirko. Everyone's looking nice and clean right now as we have a car drifting up on the side. I don't know if he's trying to go 3 wide or just keeping that clean air out there, and maybe he had a bad little start there, but the number 2 looking very strong on the bottom side right now, Sean.
Yeah, he is, and things are staying here pretty tight. Everybody's bunched up, and we got a car going down to the inside below the line, and no trouble there. Everybody's still under power and looking clean.
Well, guys, the number 7, there's some drama already that I can report on. Number 7 of Rodney Wofford is in fact on the apron, starting in 2nd place. So an incident must have occurred, because he will be in dead last place and no drop.
Actually, it looks like we have Rodney Walford in the front of the field. Richard might have something mixed up, but right now that number 2 is getting actually wedged by Rodney Walford, as we saw him looking like the mid line here. But right now he goes back up to the top side. He's looking nice and clean. Everyone's nice and tidy. We're going 2 wide through turns 1 and 2. Everyone's giving a nice amount of space and being very respectful. Donnie Garantano is still the official race leader, but the 7 car is making a good push right now with the help of others. Now we see cars shooting out 3 wide going into turn 3. Hopefully they can clean this up. It looks like they're going to leave him out to dry, as he had to drop back with no one to draft with him. Richard, we were talking about at the beginning of the race. They are not afraid to go 3 wide here. It's very impressive for this kind of intense racing here at Talladega.
Yeah, and I do apologize. I don't know what happened to my iRacing screen, but I saw the number 7 car down on the apron, and obviously that is totally incorrect. So apologies for that. But back to the racing, you are correct indeed. Rodney Wofford On the inside line, next to him is the 23 car of Rod Flag. They are pretty wide at this point in time, Sean. These guys can handle it from what we've seen previously.
Yeah, they're looking pretty good. They're holding this 3-wide formation right now in the early stages of this race. I don't know if it's the wisest thing to do when you still have a bunch of laps left, but they're making it work. It looks pretty smooth. I'm enjoying this brand of racing we're getting out of these guys right now.
Absolutely, and they still 3 wide. We've got on the inside track there, Brian, Rodney Wofford. Behind him, it looks like Donnie Garantano is, he's gone to the middle right now, the number 7. And on his inside is the number 2 car of Donnie Garantano, who now will take over the lead of this race, although the 7 is contesting that, Brian.
Yeah, it's really hard to get a good sense of who's actually leading this race because all 3 lines are doing a good job. Now, it does look like the top 3rd line is petering out a little bit, but every once in a while we see someone else try to pop up there and give that effort a little more steam. So it's very interesting to see if they can hold on nice and tight right now. We got that number 2 car of Donnie Garantano trying to make another push for that lead. That bottom side is the lowest radius around the track, so they obviously have the easiest effort at getting the most speed. It's kind of hard to see who's pushing who right now. We have such a cluster of cars all together. So right now it's just clean 3-wide racing here at Talladega.
Well, this is fantastic. Go ahead, Sean.
I was going to say, Rod Flag and Brendan Trebico are really trying to make this outside line here up top work. As they're working together, they just had a car slide up in front of them. They had some momentum, but it was cut short by this car that moved up in front of them. I can't see the number right now, but interesting racing going on here on the top line.
Well, that's what I was going to say. This is fantastic racing. We have got there the number 23 car on the outside of Rod Flag. In front of him, the 20 car of Matt Bontempi. They've just decided that the top line might not be the way to go, and they've kind of fallen back a little bit now. But certainly they've still got 2 lanes working hard. So I'm impressed. This is fantastic racing right now. Rodney Wofford still in the lead there momentarily, but Donnie Garantano in the number 2 car hanging on to that inside lane. And really, that's where you want to be in a long race like this. Sorry.
Yeah, that's absolutely right, Richard. And it's interesting to see everybody try that 3rd line, the top side, 3rd side, so long because we had to work so much harder to keep that speed up, and that's really putting a toll on those engines. And in this series what we've seen so far, engines do blow up very frequently. So I think everyone's just trying to relax just a little bit, calm themselves down, and then once those engine cool off just a little bit, give it another shot. And right now, as we see again, the number 2 and the number 7 have been nose and nose lap after lap. I really feel bad for the poor driver Greg Hooks, who lost his connection earlier on in the race. And now, where's he gonna go if there's a back marker situation? I guess the apron's gonna be his only choice. So unfortunately for him, he's a long ways out of the draft. Hopefully he can get back in if there's a yellow. Get him some lucky dog action. But right now, this pack's looking very clean, and it's very exciting racing.
Absolutely, and the 2 and the 7, as you said, they're going nose to nose, and just behind them are the guys who are assisting them, and that's the 57 of Jared Hegarty behind Rodney Wofford, and the 17 car behind the 7 car, and that is Tanner Mann. And then you've got a 3rd row, which is 3 wide.
Oh, we got to spin, guys. We got to spin.
Oh, that's a big one, too. Lots of big numbers involved there, Richard. We'll have to go back and get involved. And now the tricky part here is how are they going to slow down all 3 lanes in time to not hit each other when the pace car comes out. We're going to replay now, Richard. The whole story of what caused that big wreck.
Yeah, I'm having a look there. I can't see what caused it, but I do see the 94 car of Frank Baccialia spinning down onto the grass and onto the apron. So he's involved in that. That is tragic news for his championship hopes.
Yeah, the 94 broke loose a right turn and took out 2 cars with him right into the wall.
Whoa, that is not going to help him along. He's still circulating, I do note. We are on lap number 8 now. He's a little way behind, but I guess with the yellow flag out, everybody will get an opportunity, Brian, to bunch up again. So provided he doesn't have too much damage, he's still in it.
Well, you know what, guys? I don't want to, play IRT and place blame on anybody, but I really think that comes down to net code. As I'm watching it from the close chase view from the back of the 94, and his car just spins sideways when that, I believe it was the 48, comes down. There was no initial contact, but when iRacing does register that as a collision, so that is what in fact caused everything indeed.
Yeah, and we do see a car in the pits right now, and I'm not sure which one that is. We are looking out of his windshield right now. So we're on caution at this point in time. It's going to be quite a ways before we get back to green flag racing because of the length of this track, and everyone will be charging from behind to catch up to the pace car and to the cars in front of them. I wonder whether we will see cars take the opportunity to duck into the pits here, Sean, as I think they are doing right now.
Well, yeah, you're going to see cars duck in. Two cars, the other two cars that were collected in that are going to need some repairs. And, of course, Frank's going to need some repairs on his car, on that number 94 machine. They all hit pretty hard, but like Brian said, there's really not much explanation other than netcode. He was going fine, and then all of a sudden the car just broke loose and turned right. So not sure exactly what happened, but yeah, we've seen Dana Osborne's in, and he's on his way out. But yeah, good opportunity. Might as well go ahead and fuel up and take 4 fresh tires now since we've got a caution here early.
Yeah, correct. Although tires should not matter that much on a wide open track like this. And bear in mind, we do have 47 laps only, which is kind of a short distance, 125 miles for these cars at Talladega. But I'm just looking now at the number 7 car. He's come back out. He's currently in 3rd place. And Donny Garatano, who was behind him in the 2 car, he's out there as well. And he is just behind Rodney Wofford. So these guys are still in it. The guys that are in trouble right now, if you ask me, Brian, are Frank Bachalia. And where is, I'm looking for Brandon Chaburka. Oh, he's right up front, so he's doing all right out of this.
Yeah, the 2 drivers that didn't go into the pits were Shane McKeechan and Brandon Jabirko. Obviously, the super speedways, tires aren't really a factor as far as keeping the car pointing the right direction. It comes down to fuel mileage, and as long as those 2 are working together, we've seen it in the past where they've pushed each other and kind of helped each other out. I could see that they won't be using up extra fuel, and I think this was a good opportunity to take the lead. Unless the cars were directly affected by that wreck, there's no real point to go into the pits on lap 10 unless you're trying to change the cards and get next to someone that you trust, or maybe you thought you had some more damage than you did. But right now in lap 10, we're seeing 2 fast-moving drivers in the standings moving up to 1st and 2nd place.
Yeah, time will tell whether that was a good move for them or not. Sean said that there's likely that a pit stop would be required. Do you think, Sean, pitting on lap 10 gives them enough fuel to go to the end?
Ooh, it's going to be real close. I think the pit window, if I remember correctly, is somewhere about 32 to 35 laps. So you're going to be gambling at this point. But I don't know, if you're riding around in 4th gear right now, taking it easy on that throttle, I think you could probably make it. I don't know about these 2 up front. I think they're going to need a pit stop to get some fuel at some point.
Yeah, I would guess that you're correct there. The other thing is, of course, it depends on how many cautions we will have throughout the race. Maybe the 2 up front are gambling on another caution, at least one other caution, to give them the opportunity to get into pit lane and fuel up. And lap 10, as Brian said, is really quite early to be going into the pit. So maybe they made the right gamble here, Brian.
I don't really want to call it a gamble, but I do know what you're saying. I think right now the best thing to do is stay out and see what everyone else is doing. If it looks like the whole field went in, I mean, with the way super speedway racing is, you could always go in the second time around and make that quick pit stop and get your position back through the draft. Now, the thing that really is going to play a factor, though, is the guys that didn't go in are now in front. Obviously, they're very fast drivers, but the guys that did go in are now sacrificing those positions. And we saw the three-wide close racing. We saw door-to-door racing for a good, solid 9 or 10 laps. This would be very challenging and hard to get those positions back here at Talladega.
Yeah, that's correct. And we do notice that Frank Bachalia has dropped pretty much towards the rear of the field. There are 19 cars in this field right now. I'm just having a look at the back markers. Greg Hooks, who is 1 lap down. Tommy Hall, who's actually 2 laps down. So these guys are going to have a tough time trying to get back on the lead lap if we go green for any length of time. But really, I still feel that Frank Bachalia, the leader in this championship, he's got to be kicking himself for getting loose and causing the wreck that brought out the caution here.
That's right. We did mention Greg Hooks there a while back. He did appear he was the lucky dog as he was 2 laps down. Now he's down 1 lap, and that puts him again in a prime spot as long as he stays out of trouble for the other lucky dog if another yellow should come out here in the next few laps. So right now, Greg Hooks he struggled with that connection earlier on in practice, but now it's starting to pay off a little bit as he has a chance now to get back into that lead lap and move up the ranks. Now, Shane McEachin, right now, I think he's going to have a good start. He's always been fast on restarts, so let's see what happens here as we're coming around to the green flag period this lap, I do believe, Richard.
Yep, the lights are out on the pace car. Everybody starting to get ready for a restart as the pace car approaches turn number 3. The leaders at this point are Shane McEachin and Brandon Chiberko. One has to say, Brian, that your heart's got to go out to Greg Hooks, who is in 4th place in this championship and sitting in the second last position right now. So he's still got an opportunity. There's not a lot of distance on the road between first and last place here. So he has every opportunity, but he is a lap down, and that's going to hurt him. As we come through turn number 4, we will be getting a start as they approach the line. Brian did mention that the start-finish line is quite a way back from the pit entry. So there's a little bit of showmanship that goes on normally as to when the lead car actually starts racing. So Brian, over to you as the pace car is about to duck into the pits.
Absolutely, and as we saw, the pace car is about to duck off. There he goes now. As we get through the tri-oval, that's all we're really looking for here before we get going. Shane McEachin is in control of the field. He can take off anytime he chooses now at this point. So right now we're just waiting for Shane McEachin as we are about to go racing here at Talladega Speedway. And there we go. Shane McEachin got a little bit of a slow jump. Brandon Miracle caught him off guard just a little bit, and he's commanding that outside. The number 2 car of Donnie Garantano is pushing nice and hard, but they don't have enough speed right now to get around. The 28 car of Shane McEachin had that slow start, but now getting the help from the 7 of Roddy Warford. He is looking very racy right now as both of them on the bottom side are pushing very strong. That number 2 car is not giving up, though, as he is pushing Brandon Chibirko to the front of the line. Will they have enough speed to get to turn 3 and grab that lead? I don't think they will at this time through, but right now, Richard, Shane McEachin recovered very nicely from that little bit of a bobble on the start.
Yeah, he certainly did, and it goes to show once again that the inside line is the preferred line on any oval. Behind them on row number 3, you've got the 57 car, and you've also got the 17 car. The 17 car took a chance and went right up top, hoping to find some clean air there and get a run, but that did not work for him. And now the 20 car of Matt Bontempi falls into line on row number 3, and in fact the 8 car, so the guys that were on row number 3 have both lost their positions there, Sean. That was a bit of a bad move for them.
Yeah, it was. They kind of got hung out there and are falling back now. We got a car a little bit into the wall. That's the 94, but he's still underpowered and closing in on the 5. These guys here at the back are making it look easy right now as they're staying in line and just getting around here. And we still have this whole field bunched up.
Well, I tell you what, I am watching the action from the chopper, and I'm telling you, we've got the outside line zooming up and trying to catch the lead cars. Brian, this is fantastic racing right on top there.
And what better time, Richard, when we have fantastic racing to crank it up. So let's go 1 or 2 laps here on the crank it up camera, and you'll see that close-up action as we have 3 wide going through the turns of Talladega.
Welcome back, folks, to the iSuperSpeedway series. We are seeing 3 wide action from the cars as we see the car of the number 5 car cut to the inside there, Brian. What a move he has made to come from about 10th place back to now be leading this race.
Yeah, I don't know if the guy pushing him is going to be too happy about that move, because he just basically got a free ride to the front of the pack and just left the top side out to dry. So I'm not sure if that's going to come back to bite him. It's hard to say if that was a move or something that he took into his own hands, but right now I'm definitely questioning his motives there. Now, we do have a change of lead now. Josh Hanna's looking very strong. We get the 3-car Brandon Chabirko, who was lucky enough to avoid him as he jumped all 3 lanes down to the bottom, now taking a massive effort now to get that help from the number 2 of Donnie Gerentano, as now everyone's spreading out. I've never seen anything like this at Talladega before. We have the 3 and the 5 racing their engines basically off of their car to try and get that lead position.
Yeah, this is this great racing as we see the 32 go up a little bit, nearly touch the 57 car there, but no actual contact made. They are now 4 wide on that second row. 4 wide, I'm telling you. And there we see cut. Very risky driving, but they're making it work, Brian.
Sorry, yes, indeed, they are making it work right now as we have the 28 pushing that number 5 still, looking very strong on the bottom side. The number 2 pushing the 3 still. Everyone hasn't really changed positions too much, but I am really amazed that outside third line is working very hard still. We have a big wreck. That is a big one as we have a car blowing his engine the backside. It looks like everyone that was involved did get around as we have Tanner Mann and a whole bunch of cars jumping down the apron. That was a very skilled move at evasion for everyone who had that coming right up in their mirror, as we're now going to go to replay to see exactly what happened.
And that is the 57 car of Jared Haggerty. He just went up and hit the wall really hard, actually, and came down. And how they all managed to avoid him and keep going was an absolute miracle, I have to say there, Sean.
Yeah, it was. He looks like he just got a little loose there and collected a couple of cars, but the majority of the pack got around with just unscathed, and the caution flag is out.
Indeed, the caution flag has come out. The pace car just out as the leaders went flying past, so they'll have to go around a full lap to catch up to the pace car. Some of the guys that were behind the pace car they will be waved around as well, Brian. So we're going to have upwards of 4 or 5 pace laps here.
Yeah, it's going to be a lengthy stop, but that's all right because these guys probably need a break with, again, another good long stint. We're doing about lap 20, so that was another 10-lap stint of 3 wide driving. I have really been impressed with this series and the quality of drivers. It's very hard on iRacing to find a group of guys that are willing to be patient and race this close together and just kind of look for the big picture of the whole season. So again, it's a credit to the drivers. 3 wide at Talladega is very tough, and these guys are making it look easy.
Yeah, well, the pace car is past the leaders right now. So we've got the 5 car of Josh Hanna in the lead, and Brandon Tuberco in the 3 car behind him or next to him on the restart. So Frank Buchalia, big winner out of all of that, Sean. The 34, or sorry, the 94. Nah, I've got it all wrong here. The 34 car is in 3rd place. And the 34 car, no, it is the 94. Pardon me, folks. The 94 of Frank Buchalia in 3rd place. So what a comeback from him.
Yeah, and right now, guys, while we're under yellow, it looks like everyone's getting sorted out. With that being said, let's go take a short break real quick, and we'll come back to you at the start of the next green period with the most updated results.
Welcome back the iSuperSpeedway series. We are seeing a race that we've had 3 cautions in so far, but nonetheless, it is pretty exciting racing. The pace car lights are out at this moment, Brian, so we will get a restart on the next time by. We've got Josh Hanna and Brandon Chaburko, 1 and 2 in this race at the moment. The big story is that Frank Pachalia, who caused the first wreck and the first caution, I should say, of the race, he is currently sitting in 3rd place, so that is really good news for him. Donny Garatano, who's basically stayed out of trouble, is in 4th place, and then the rest of the field. But right now, Brian, on this restart, I reckon we are on lap 24. Most people will have done their pit stops, excepting that first 2, I believe, have not stopped yet. But everyone else has, so they could go to the end of the race.
Yeah, and I would really like to see them go to the end of the race too, because these guys have been putting up a wonderful show to kick off the end of the season here. So, you know, I'm looking really fond of the number 5 car, Josh Hanna, right now. He's definitely been a front runner and a fast mover tonight, as we saw in the last stint. He went from near the back of the pack all the way to the front, dropped from the top line down to the bottom line, basically stole the lead from the 3 car, Brandon Jabirgo, and didn't look back. So number 5 is my pick, as we're getting ready to go green here now, it looks like, as the pace car is getting ready to pull off. Yep, any second now. So the number 5 just warming his tires just a little bit. The 94 and the number 2 right behind, ready to go. As we saw in the last race, we have the outside line of the number 3 and Brandon Jabirko. The pace car decks off, and the 5 does not wait. He just goes for it. And right now, everybody is just bunching up. The 3 got another really good jump. The 94 and the 2 right behind him. Everyone racing nice and clean, as it sounds like everyone had a good start there, Richard.
Yep, and the green flag has flown, and the number 5 of Josh Hanna has taken off on his outside. Brandon Chaburko pushing him down on the yellow line there. Great racing from Brandon. Frank Chaburko in the 94. He's sitting directly behind Josh Hanna, so he's in a great position right now. Donny Garatano, who led quite a few laps of this race, is on the outside, and behind him we have the 3 car, the 5 car now gone to the outside. Josh Hanna probably trying to hook up with the 3 car. I think these are teammates. And on the inside, we now have the 4 and the 94 and the 48 car of Josh Ball. So a bit of a change up here, Sean.
Yeah, a bit of, you know, and we're seeing pretty wide racing again throughout the field. This entire field is separated by less than a second as these guys continue on at a really fast pace. And, you know, right now there's a few guys trying to make their way to the front on that top line, but the top line is not moving right now like it was earlier. Looks like everybody's going to settle in and go too wide for right now.
Well, I got news for you. The 5 and the 3 have on an enormous push. The 5 is not quite clear, but the 94 responded. The 48 behind him came up real close and pushed him. They now go through the tri-oval section. The 5 and 3 on the outside, teaming up, trying to maintain that position. They get ahead once again, and the 5 ducks off again, Brian, into the inner lane.
Yeah, that 5 car doesn't seem to know where he wants to be tonight, but obviously whatever he's doing is working, because he has had the lead for the second half of the race just about pretty much, and Josh Hanna is looking very strong today. Now, it was worth noticing that the number 94 of Frank Pachalia III has found his way up to the very front again, so he has just had a kind of a rodeo.
Car? Watch the 48 come through the middle. He kind of pushed the 3 car up wide, up top I should say, and just pushed his way. He is leading this race with the 2 car right behind him. The 2 car, of course, is Donny Garatano. These guys have taken the lead away from the number 5 at this point in time, and they got the long straightaway going towards turn 1. Ooh, nearly contact there, Brian. This is furious racing.
Yeah, absolutely. And the number 2 got caught out there because now he is stuck on the top side and his partner left them behind. So again, now we have all the black and orange cars on that bottom side, and these, of course, are the fastest drivers of the season. All of them have qualified for that top 5 prize for the prize money at the end of the season. So basically, if you see a black car with orange wheels and orange numbers, you know that they've had a good race sometime during the season and are trying to race for that chance to win $5 of iRacing cash. Now, with that being said, the Donnie Giarratano is pushing that outside line very fiercely, trying to get himself into a better position. But right now, it looks like he has nowhere to go, as now Tanner Mann on the outside is also trying to get something going. He has 3 wide in the back, but it doesn't seem like anybody's too interested in following him, so he's kind of caught out. He's going to drop to the end of the line right now, the number 2. Looking as we see, wow, a car shooting way off to the side. Again, Tanner Mann looking to get something going 3 wide in the back of the pack. Nothing happened there, so he's going to fall back even farther now. The number 2 looking very strong. And, of course, we have Joshua Hanner, who's been in control of this race just about for the last 15 laps.
Well, I'm going to make a comment on Josh Hanna. I've been watching him on a couple of occasions now. He is fairly much a selfish driver. The moment he gets to the front, he ducks to the inside, leaves whatever partner is running with him out to dry, basically. And not very respectful of the guy behind you who is actually assisting you. It might be that he has a different strategy in mind, but just from where we're racing, normally when you have a partner that's helping you, you don't leave them hung out to dry there, Sean.
No, you don't, and it may not bode well for you at the end of the race when in those last 2 laps, as we've seen a lot of times at Talladega and Daytona. You definitely want that help. If you need a push, he may not get it. Drivers have a really good memory, and well, I sure hope it doesn't come down to that for him, because if it does, he may be on the short end of it.
Well, that is it. And at the moment, the 2 and the 3 car are pairing up on the outside line, Brian, trying to take that position away from the number 5. He's hanging in there. The 48 car is sitting a little way off at the moment. So with a really big push from the 3 car, the 2 car of Donnie Giarratano could take the lead of this race. Behind them in row number 3, we've got the 94 and the 8 car of Dana Osborne. Now, we haven't spoken about Dana Osborne much before in this broadcast, if at all. And he's up into, I guess, 6th place at this point in time. But a terrific race going on here. You just can't complain about the racing that we've seen tonight.
Absolutely not. And I do believe Donnie Giarratano is getting closer and closer to trying to find a way into that lead spot. The question is, does he leave his partner behind? Because, wow, that middle line has been pushing hard. And Brandon Chaberco is definitely a fast driver, so he is not someone I don't think you want to have on your bad side going into the next season. But the 5 car of Josh Hanner officially loses the lead of the lap just temporarily as Donnie Giarratano edged across the start-finish line. So it looks like he's actually going to get the lead of the lap right now, but it was short-lived because now that bottom line's moving very quick again, and now we have something going on the top side again. So we have 4 drivers trying that top side with little luck, but it's always good to see 3 wide racing here at Talladega if they can make it work.
Well, absolutely. And let us go now to row number 4, where we have the 88 car of Tony Fenn and Rod Flagg in the number 7 car, who you will remember in the very early laps of this race was actually leading. So we have 4 rows of cars. This could be anyone's race when it comes down to that last few laps. And the guys get really pushy trying to make up position. We're going to see some fun, I'm pretty sure. But at the moment, Brian, I have to say Josh Hanna doing a great job in hanging on to that lead on the inside line.
Yeah, and I don't want to jinx anybody and have the commentators curse in the fact, but I've noticed we've had a very limited amount of blown engines tonight, so everyone's doing a good job of keeping their engines clean. As I cross my fingers, I hope nobody blows up just now. That number 5 car on the bottom side is racing very hard. You can just see the number 2 and the number 5 getting closer and closer to each other, trying to freak each other out as each passing lap goes by. And that 48 car of Josh Balls is working very hard there in the bottom to just keep the cars out in front. So that number 2 You know, he's trying the best he can to keep his car straight so he can get pushed by Brandon Jabirko. Obviously, if you want to have anyone behind you, it's going to be an Oval Pro driver from the iRacing series. And of course, they're just doing everything they can. So right now, everyone's looking very fast, as now we have a 3-wide pair going across the top once again with no luck. Everyone gets up top and then just peters out. So right now, Richard, it seems like everyone's kind of at a stalemate as to where they're going to run in relative position to the leader.
And we are seeing some absolutely fantastic pictures. Let's zero in on the 99 car of Dawn Artman, and next to him or her is the 23 car of Rod Flag. Rod Flag is the organizer of the series, one of the front runners as well up in the championship. This is row number 5, and they're racing as if they're on row number 1. Fantastic racing happening right now.
Yeah, you know what? We're going to need to start watching some of these guys for temperature on these motors. We're going to start seeing some switching going on here in the next lap or two. I got to imagine a few of these cars are getting really, really hot right now. So, you know, driver beware, because a blown motor can certainly cause a major wreck here as we see the top line starting to try and work again. But I don't know. We'll see what happens. But like I said, some of these guys need to step out and get clean air, because they've got to be running hot at this point with this close racing.
Well, that's a good point you make. There's something we haven't spoken about much, Brian. With the new tire model and some of the changes they made to these cars are tending, from my information, to run a bit hotter than they used to. They've also put some limitations on the amount of tape that you can put on there, the minimum amount of tape, as I understand. So these guys have to be watching their temps at all times.
That's right, Richard. And I was just thinking about that as you're saying that. The top side might be going 3 wide to actually get that cold air on their car. As you see, they poke out for a few, corners, and then they're back in line again. Now, what does that mean for the bottom side? Well, they don't have anywhere to go. If they go below that yellow line, they're risking losing their position and being forced to drop into the line, so you can't do that. So right now, if you're on the bottom side, you're working extra hard to keep your engine clean, because there's really no way to the top side where the clean air is. And if you, like I said, if you step out on the bottom side, you're going to lose your position very quickly. So right now, those bottom side guys are definitely feeling the heat, I guess you could say, to keep their car cold and running smoothly.
Well, that's right. You will notice that the 3 car of Brandon Jabirko pokes his nose out to the top side every now and again, particularly on the straightaway sections. And that is not that he's getting loose at all. It is exactly for the reason of getting some air, as you see him doing it again. You can't go out too far, because there's somebody behind ready to take that spot away from you. But I do feel for cars like the 94 of Frank Buchalia and in front of him, the 48 of Josh Ball. These guys are kind of hemmed in behind the cars in front of them, and of course from the cars on the side, on the top side. So they have got to be struggling with heat issues very, very soon. Bearing in mind we are on lap 38, so not that many laps to go, Sean. Laps are running out. The guys are running nose to tail virtually from the start to the finish. If I look from the chopper, I can see virtually all the cars on the lap. And this is, I say it again, this is fantastic racing.
You know, I'm watching Greg Hooks right now, the number 98. Excuse me. He started this race from the pit lane, had a connection issue early, was 2 laps down, has worked his way back into the lead lap, up there on the outside, trying to make it work, currently in 12th place. If he could just get someone to work with him, he might find his way to the front here in the closing laps of this race. But right now, we've only got about 8 laps to go.
Yep, the 98 car Greg Hooks, he's on the high line, on the extreme outside, kind of going 3 wide with the 25 car there, or the 20, yep, the 25 car. Now he falls back into line and goes to the inside once again, and he's currently running.
Oh, we have a big one, the 5 car of Joshua. Excuse me, we all talking over each other. That is the big one that we feared. The Josh Hanner looked like he got bumped from behind and spun around, engines blowing everywhere. just pandemonium going through the tri-oval as there was nowhere to go. There was at least 5 to 6 cars involved in that wreck and plenty more afterwards getting caught up. Sean, I am so sorry to cut you off, but man, what can you do in a situation like that other than pray that you find a way out of it? Richard, we have to go to replay because that was a huge moment for this final race.
Well, we are on replay at the moment. You can actually see the 2 car. They're all going. Let's get that again. So we see a couple of cars getting squeezed. I think that the 3 car is the one that got squeezed there, no fault of his. And then they all came together, got loose, trying to avoid each other. And it was a huge pileup, at least 10 cars involved in all of that. So a number of these cars will be visiting pit lane to try and get a fresh car, or at least get some repairs done if they have no fresh cars left. But that was certainly the big one, Sean.
Yeah, it was a lot of cars involved in that. And, you know, we were talking about Greg Hooks. Guess what? Greg made it through that unscathed and has made his way to the front as a result of that. But, man, a lot of carnage out there on the track. You know, it just, I guess you had to predict it was coming. Brandon Chabico broke to the inside to shoot the middle there, and unfortunately, it just the middle went away as quickly as it opened up for him, and that just started a chain reaction. And boy, what a lot of torn up equipment out there.
Yep, certainly. And of course, now we are under caution once again. Brian, you were going to say?
I was just gonna say, I think what happened was, if you think about the layout of Talladega, there's a very, very temporarily available bottom line where if you follow the yellow line around the track on the bottom side, you basically go down an extra lane and then come back up. Now, what happened was the 2 car was being pushed by the 3. I think what happened was the bottom line went down. That opened up a temporary gap. The 3 car tried to get his nose down there for some clean air, and everyone just met back up where that temporary lane disappeared, and then the rest was history. Just the circumstance of the event. I don't think there was any malice involved there or any hurt feelings or anything like that. That was just being at the wrong place at the wrong time with hot engines, and things just kind of unraveled the way they did. Of course, that's Talladega racing, super speedway racing indeed. Kind of an ill-advised move, but this late in the race, lap 40 or 38, whenever the incident happened, those are the kind of moves you have to make, and sometimes it pays off, and others, well, you know the old saying, if you don't finish, you don't win.
Well, that's correct. And I agree with you, Brian. I don't think any blame can be laid on any one particular person. It was an unfortunate incident that occurred right there. Still, no doubt the IRT, whoever's in charge of handing out penalties in the series, will be having a pretty close look at that to see exactly what happened there. But pretty unfortunate for a bunch of the drivers, but in particular Josh Hanna, the number 5, who was leading the race at that point in time, racing on the inside line, thinking that the end of the race could not come quickly enough. He lost out big time there. He's way down in the order right now. We are on lap 41 of 47. Which means after a couple more pace laps, they will have a 5-lap shootout to the end of this race, or possibly even a 4-lap shootout. Now, looking at the situation from the top, Brian, Dana Osborne, he is currently in the lead of this race in the number 8 car. Next to him is still Brandon Chaberko, who somehow... he was right in the middle of that wreck fest that happened. Somehow he still got going and kept going, and he is on the outside of Dana Osborne in 2nd place. Same with Frank Buchalia. These guys have had like a miracle happen that they managed to stay out of trouble, and these are some of your championship leaders who have managed somehow, Brian, to stay in the race.
Yeah, I was just thinking that myself. Dana Osborne, talented driver, kind of, not a lot going on with Dana today, but found his or her way up to the front of the pack. Now, Brandon Chimberko, like you said, definitely got lucky there. The cars all seemed to spin around him, and he just got down to the grass. Whichever way he did it, it was a good move. Nonetheless, Frank Buccilia III had some issues throughout the race. He's now in third place. And Tanner Mann, who just kind of fell to the end of that last stint, he was in the very end of the line trying to get that third line working. Now is in fourth place. Greg Hooks, another guy like Sean mentioned, he DQ'd, had some issues at the beginning of the race, and now he's running in fifth. That just goes to show you how super speedway racing could change at the drop of a hat, especially with a lot of big name players falling out of the race.
Well, that's true. And we should mention some of the losers, unfortunately, as well. Donny Garetano was running up front. Rodney Wofford. These guys are losers. They are now showing a lap down. Gary Schenk, Tommy Hall, these guys were in trouble early on and so on. But Josh Hanna is the other big loser. Dawn Artman was doing very well in the third row or fourth row early on before the wreck. And these guys are now showing 2 laps down. So some big losers as well as the big winners that you have already mentioned there, Sean.
Yeah, and a couple of those guys who Tanner and Don Hartman are gone.
Yeah, we seem to have a technical difficulty happening there with Sean. We'll get back to Sean in a moment. But anyway, we were talking about, Brian, the Chimberko and Frank Buccilia. These guys now with an excellent chance to seal up their positions in this championship.
Yeah, sorry, I'm a little distracted trying to get my thoughts rearranged. I'm still thinking about what just happened and how that affects the points chase. To my knowledge, Frank Buccilia has clinched, and there's no way he can lose his championship. I'm just trying to think in my mind what's going on with the other 4 or 5 drivers behind him now. All I do know, just listening to the race chatter, there's a lot of angry people, obviously, after a big wreck like that, yelling at Brandon Chimberko, who is an iRacing Oval Pro, to my knowledge. So if I'm him, I would do that nice slow extra lap around the final go there and give everyone a chance to cool off before helmets start flying down pit road. Again, it looks like we're going to be going green here shortly, though, Richard. What were your thoughts?
Well, I tell you, if I were Brandon, I'd duck off real quick after the race is finished and exit from the session, because he may be getting a few nasty responses from some of the guys. But we have to say the racing was great up to that point in time, and I have seen tonight some really great racing, and I can't complain. We do know that super speedway racing does bring on really big wrecks from time to time, and many guys, even the pros who do it in real life, when they go out there on the super speedway, they've got legs crossed, arms crossed, fingers crossed. They pray a little bit before the race starts because they know that anything can happen, and that's what we saw here tonight. The guys who managed to stay out of trouble, how they did that, I don't know. But, good on the guys in the 98 car, for instance, in Greg Hooks, the number 20 car in Matt Bontempi. These guys have managed to improve their positions. Greg Hooks in particular is in 4th place in the championship, so he still has an opportunity. However, Brian, we are on lap 44. What is the situation with the pace car?
Well, the lights have gone out, so this next time around we are going to go racing. Richard, you just read my mind. We're at lap 44 of 47. That's going to give us 2 or 3 laps to really battle it out and see if anything happens. Hopefully we can do it under green. And I want to see Dana Osborne win this race. Dana just, keeping to himself throughout the whole race, and now looking at first place. But, he is in pretty fast company. He has Brandon Chimberko, Frank Buccilia III, and Tanner Mann all right on his bumper, so he can't really afford to make any mistakes. And of course, because of the draft of a super speedway, taking a big jump at the green really will not give him any kind of benefit. So it's really going to come down to just being smart, defending that bottom line, and making sure he works with the right people to finish the race in front. Now, with 94 of Frank Pachulia behind him, that is definitely someone that we've seen push and do a very good job pushing in the last 2 races. So I think he's in good company right now, but it's really going to come down to can we keep this race green long enough to finish this race?
Well, 3 laps, you would think that they should be able to do that. I think you said it, Brian. Stay on the yellow line, defend the inside line as hard as you possibly can. He does have a slight advantage in that gets to choose when to jump away. But you also said, and not a truer word was spoken, that he's got a couple of the championship leaders right next to him as the car ducks off. Over to you, Brian.
That's right. And right now we see both cars, the 3 and the 8, just ready to pounce. As we also have the 17 and the 94 right on the bumpers. Everyone is ready to go. It just comes out. The 3 looks like he got a good jump. I don't know if he got too much of a distance there, if that's going to be a problem with black flags. I'm guessing not, because the pace car had already been long gone. So right now the 3 takes the lead. Brandon Jabirko is not looking back. The 8 has nothing he can do about it because of the run the 3 car got. Now the 8 and the next car, the Tanner Man and the 17, no, excuse me, that's the 94, Frankie Julia third, are all bumper to bumper. Literally no space for error as we come around these last couple of laps. And I'm quite frankly, that Jabirko looks like a robot right now. His car's not even twitching. He has 2 cars pushing him, and I've never seen the car held so straight at Talladega. So right now, I'm liking Brandon Jabirko.
Well, you know what I think. I may be totally wrong, but I almost think Dana Osborne held back to allow the 3 car to get in front of him, and he's going to be pushing him to the win here by the looks of things. The 94 car behind them, and on the outside, going around the outside there, we have got the 98 car of Greg Hooks doing a fantastic job. He needs a bit of help though. The 28 car comes up behind him, sort of, doesn't actually make a positive move. The 8 car now goes to the outside. He's dropped off from the 3 car. The 94 car slots in behind the 3. They're 3 wide with the Greg Hooks on the outside, Brian, making a challenge to try and take this race, but the outside line is not the place to be right now. As we see a crash happening, we knew it would happen.
I was just about to say Dana made a huge rookie mistake trying to go around on the outside, thinking that anybody would try to help him. But, you know, that's kind of the luck of the draw. He could have gotten help, but it looks like it did not pay off. So Brandon Jabirko, despite all of the drama and all of the misfortunes throughout the race, looks to be the race winner. Now we're going to go back to a replay there, Richard.
Yes, well, replay, you will see that around about on the second row, you had cars on the outside, and I can't quite make out. There's a flurry of cars. We'll need to see that again to try and figure out exactly what happened, but certainly a whole bunch of the cars from about the third row backwards are all involved there. As we see the 2 cars involved there, he got spun around. He gets hit pretty hard, that 2 car, by a number of other cars, but I don't think he was the cause of it. We'll have another look once again. It looks to me like something happened on the outside. Cars came down and cars came up. It was a real mess there, Brian. Not really able to say exactly where we should put the fault for that one. But unfortunately, the race will end under caution, and the winner is indeed, or will be, Brandon Jabirko, and Frank Pachulia, 1 and 2 in the championship, coming in 2 and 1 pretty much in this race.
That's right, and I do believe we have Sean back, so apologies to Sean, who got cut off earlier in the race. What did you think of the ending of that race there, Sean?
Well, I thought the ending was exciting, and the wreck was certainly unfortunate. I'll tell you what, though, if I'm Brandon Jabirko, there is just before you get into turn 3, there is an exit on the outside wall there where the RVs come across the track to get into the infield. Maybe he can call ahead and get them to open that gate for him and let him just slide out the back. Might be a good choice.
Yeah, well, it certainly looks as if the race is done. 47 laps completed. We see the cars taking off around. I think they're chasing Brandon Jabirko, Brian.
Yeah, these guys are a lot of fun. We've always seen them horsing around and warm up and practice sessions. So I think this is just kind of those after race antics to celebrate the end of the new year, or excuse me, the end of the season. So with that being said, thank you everybody for watching and joining us for this season. It's been a lot of fun. We're gonna go to a quick break and come back with results and interviews from the drivers of this race.
Okay. Welcome back to the iSuperSpeedway.com final race of season number 1, where we did indeed see, a race that had some wrecks in it, but a race that, for me anyway, was pretty exciting. Brian, let's just go through the standings as they appear on iRacing and tell the folks exactly what the order was.
Yeah.
Brian, are you with us?
Yeah.
Okay, in first place, we had Brandon Trebico. In second place, Frank Pucciala III. In third place, Dana Osborne. In fourth place, Josh Ball. Fifth place, Greg Hooks. In sixth place, Tony Feen. In seventh, Shane McKeechin. In eighth, Rod Flagg. In ninth, Tanner Mann. In 10th, Daniel Harrington. Back to you, Richard.
Yes, and indeed, in 11th place, Rodney Wofford. In 12th place, Gary Schenk. 13th place, Donny Garetano. 14th place, Matt Bontempi. 15th place, Jared Haggerty. 16th place, Tommy Hall. 17th, Josh Hanna. 18th place, Dawn Artman. And last but not least, Joshua Ramirez. So that's the full standings of this particular race. So now we are going to go to driver interviews, and our first interview is with Greg Hooks. And Brian, if you are with us, please go ahead and chat to Greg Hooks.
Yeah, sorry, Richard. I was down on the paddock watching everyone spray champagne at each other. It was a great season, but right now we're talking to Greg Hooks. Now, Greg, it looked like you had some problems coming off pit road, and then an internet connection issue ended up leaving you 2 laps down. Then you came back with lucky dog situations, avoiding wrecks, and you got yourself a top 5. So tell us, first of all, how does that feel?
It feels great. We had technical issues there at the beginning, and I felt like the race was pretty much over there from the start. But we got lucky and avoided the wrecks, and like you said, was able to battle back up there and get a top 5 out of it.
Right, and apologize to you, Greg, that we don't have a lot of time for interviews today. I just want to ask you, are you looking forward to next season? Are you planning on racing next season, and what are your plans, if any at all?
Oh yeah, I'm planning on racing next season. We closed this season out pretty good. We took the podium with Frank and Brandon, and we're going to be in the shootout, so we're looking forward to that next and seeing how we can start the season off.
All right, Greg, always great to talk to you. We'll see you next season for sure. We have to, unfortunately, keep these interviews going pretty quick tonight. So have a good night, and thanks for having a great race and talking to us.
Thank you.
All right, so next up is Josh Ball. Josh will be chatting with Sean. Go ahead, Sean.
Hey, Josh, great race. Just want to ask you real quick. We brought you in. I had just a quick question for you. Were temperatures an issue for you? Because you were in the thick of things pretty much for the whole race.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I got in the third lane there with Brandon and Frank, and we were pushing, and temperatures were an issue almost all the time, flashing red. So it was definitely hard to get air.
So you had that motor on the brink pretty much for the whole race?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Definitely. Pretty much the whole race, it was on the brink.
Well, hey, great race. Really enjoyed the racing tonight at Talladega Motor Speedway, and we're certainly glad to be broadcasting you guys. Thanks for coming in and taking a quick chat with us, okay?
Yeah, thanks. Thanks, you guys, and thanks, Rod Flags, for putting this on.
All right, back to you, Richard.
And we are moving through the interviews real quick. Next up, we've got Dana Osborne. I'll be having a chat with Dana. Dana, you had an opportunity to win that race, my friend. The opinion up in the booth is here that you kind of blew it. What were your thoughts?
Oh, I blew it all right. I knew them two, Brandon and Frank, would gang up on me, and I pretty much didn't get a good start, and I didn't have nobody to help me, That's pretty much it,
Yeah. Well, a great job you did anyway. You've been running strongly all season, and you did a great job today to get up into third place. The wrecks a little more than we would have expected.
Yes, sir. All I wanted to do was get through the wrecks tonight, and I barely got through that last caution, the one that whatever happened there, I ain't even watched the replay yet, so I'm glad I got by it and took the lead,
All right. Well, you're on the podium, Dana. Congratulations. And good luck as well with your racing in the MX5 series.
Thank you so much.
Okay, now we have got Frank Pachalia up next, and Sean will be talking to Frank.
Well, Frank, how's it feel to win the championship?
It's pretty damn ecstatic, man. I'm really excited.
You're going to get to drink from the cup, I see.
Yeah, we're gonna take a few drinks from that one. That's gonna be more than one, and there will be some drinks this evening too.
And the drink of choice will be a possible future sponsor?
It'll be whatever's available, whatever's closest in the house here. I don't care what it is tonight.
That sounds great. That was pretty dicey there at the end of the race. How did it feel being in the driver's seat through all that?
My palms are completely soaked in sweat. I was as nervous as could be the whole race. There was no comfort until the end of the race there when we crossed the finish line.
And, we noticed that you drove about half that race with damage over the right front. Did that really affect your car at all, or was it still smooth sailing?
No, it was, we were off maybe 2 or 3 miles an hour. I mean, at the point where I was at, where we drove up there in the third lane, as far up to the front as I got, there was no way I was coming in the pit. So just had to live with it, but it definitely hindered me for sure.
Well, Frank, congratulations on your championship. We look forward to seeing you next season. It was a great race tonight. Really enjoyed watching you guys and calling this race. We wish you the best of luck in your future endeavors. Anybody you want to thank tonight?
Yeah, thank you guys, of course, for the broadcast, and the biggest of shout-outs to Rod Flagg for putting this thing on. Couldn't do it without him. To all my friends and family, we're going to be drinking from the cup here tonight.
Well, sounds great. Thanks, Frank. Again, congratulations to you, sir.
Thank you very much, guys.
Alrighty. Well, we congratulate Frank as well on winning the championship and winning last week's race and coming second tonight. Now we will speak with tonight's winner, Brandon Chiburko, and our good friend Brian will be chatting with Brandon. Go ahead, Brian.
Yep. So, Brandon, it looked like you started 6th place today on the grid, and you survived several wrecks throughout the race. And then, of course, you looked like you got buried several times in the thick of things. We had 3-wide racing, we had 2-wide racing, we had all sorts of racing, and then the big one happened. Tell us what happened in the big one.
Well, I decided that, I pretty much had no choice. I had to go in and be aggressive tonight, for sure. Attempting to get the championship. And I went inside of Donnie, had my nose there, and he just came across it and caused a big wreck.
Yeah, and it's really hard. We watched the replay several times up here in the booth. We saw the gap open up, and as soon as it opened up, it closed right up again, and you were already pretty much knee deep in what. So it didn't look like there's a lot you could do at the time. It was an aggressive move, but it's good to see that you were able to avoid the chaos of it all and come out and actually win the race. Now, what were you thinking on the start? I thought initially you might have gotten black flagged because you had such a good jump over Dana, but then everything just seemed to go your way. You got out in front, and then a yellow flag came out. So tell us about that.
Yeah, I knew I was going to be cutting it close for sure, but that was one of the chances I had to take tonight, and luckily it paid off.
All right, well, Brandon, thank you for coming down and talking to us, and congratulations on the win. We hope to see you next season. It's always great to talk to you. Back to you, Richard.
Thank you, and congratulations to Brandon for winning this race, and I think he will end up in at least 2nd place in the championship. Well, folks, it's been pretty exciting bringing these races to you. We certainly look forward to broadcasting season 2. And yes, we will be there for the full season, bringing each and every race to you. So stay tuned and watch out for when it starts. I believe it starts next week anyway. Now, we do want to thank a bunch of people before we close the broadcast. So let us go straight to that. And first of all, we must thank Rod Flagg and his team A great league you've got here going here, Rod. Pity your race tonight didn't go that great, but you did come away with an 8th place, and we wish you well for the league, and we wish you well for your own personal racing in the next series. We will be there to broadcast it. Thank you. And as I said, good luck with everything. Now, we also want to thank the makers of various software and hardware that we use regularly to make the streams possible. iRacing.com, of course, XSplit, Twitch TV, Audio Technica, YouTube, Behringer, and Ava Media. Thanks also today to the great team that we had here tonight. Kevin, our director, Brian and Sean as the commentators. Thank you very much, guys. If you want to find out more about us, GSRC, you will find our website at www.globalsimracingchannel.com, and there you will see all the archived races and race highlights. So dive in there and have a look. We are also on Twitter at GSR Channel, and we're on Facebook at facebook.com/Global Sim Racing Channel. Big thanks to you, Dougie, for the cameras that you bring us every week that shows off some of these fantastic pictures that the folks see during the streams. A special thank you to Eric Ekholm, who provides us with much of our music that you hear. You will find his music not only here on GSRC, but also in a number of different places: TV commercials, movie trailers, iTunes, Spotify. If you like the music, give him a tweet on @Eric Ekholm. Now, folks, season 2 starts next week at Daytona, 20th of the 6th, 2014. And be there for the opening race of the season. We will be putting up something on our Facebook page about that coming up shortly. Still to come in broadcast this weekend, we have a road race in the Continental Sports Car Endurance Series tonight. It's round number 5 at Kansas Road. Actually, that's tomorrow night, I should say, at Kansas Road. Then on Sunday the 15th, we have the Virtual Sim Racing Association GT3 cars at Road America. So that's this weekend. Other upcoming series broadcasts: on Saturday the 21st of the 6th, we have the Enduro Pro Series round 11 at Road America. We've got June the 25th, Wednesday, the ASRS race. That's at Oval Racing at Kentucky. Those are the trucks. And on Sunday, July 20, we have the Northwest Majors Brickyard 400. That'll be the IndyCar, no doubt. So, folks, plenty. I'm just getting up information. It's not the IndyCar. It's actually the Gen 6. So, that's it for tonight. Thank you very much for watching. Until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you out on the track.